Exhale, take hands to waist or hips. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, we'll come forwards, then hands to floor for Samakasana. Now, we're not going to go into kind of full box splits or anything like that. Just go to where you can go to. I definitely find in my body, it's very different from day to day. So wherever you can go to where Pada Bandha stays powerful. So the lift in the arch and therefore the corresponding weight in the pinky toe. Maybe then come on to the forearms as you would do for Sphinx pose. And start to bring the legs a little wider if it's suitable, if the inner thigh stretch feels nourishing and that it's actually helping you with your mobility, not so far that it's sore. Make sure that you have that Pada Bandha lift, and then maybe the progress happens, but only while you still have that lift. Straightening out through the spine. Drishti is forwards and down slightly. Heel and toe the feet in a little bit, and then coming up onto flat hands and straight arms. Squeeze the shoulder blades down the back, and then start to walk your hands back a little bit. And we'll turn. So again, I won't mirror you, I don't think, because you know this one too. Turn the right toes to the right slightly, and we'll come down into Skandasana. And just use the hands on the floor. I know normally at this level we wouldn't, but just use the hands on the floor to kind of make sure everything's safe. You can press that right elbow into the inner right thigh. You can lift the inner arch. Because we wouldn't normally come from Samakasana into Skandasana, that's why we can use the hands on the floor, just to make sure everything's really pristine and safe. And then you might feel just today like keeping those hands on the floor, or if you want to, take your hands into prayer position. If you feel that you don't need that right elbow to push the right knee out and keep the arch lifted, then just take the elbows away from the legs and hold your prayer position out in front of the heart space rather than thumbs to sternum. Then hands to floor again, and we bring the feet into a parallel position and return ourselves into Samakasana. So letting the feet come apart only as wide as you can while there's integrity and support in the pose. It's never about how far you can go down. It's much more about integrating so that your energy flow is completely unhindered and you're promoting freedom in the body. Stretch from a strength place. Pressing into the hands then, heel and toe the feet in slightly. Walk the fingertips back and then turn your left toes to the left and use your hands on the floor to support yourself as you transition from Samakasana into Skandasana. If you choose to, of course, keep your hands on the floor. If you want to take your hands into prayer position and push that right inner knee, left inner knee, excuse me, with the left arm, then do. And if you feel you've got this without that support, then taking the hands slightly ahead. So the thumbs are 1.5 feet away from the heart. Now from here, if you can, just sitting down onto that right sit bone. If not, use your hands behind you to get yourself down there as easily as you can. And we're sending that left leg out behind us and coming into our Hanamanasana. Now, again, we're going to keep the hands on the floor if you choose to do so. So you're keeping that sense of grounded support. And then we'll keep the left toes tucked under. So it's not technically full Hanamanasana when the toes are tucked under because there's a flexion in that left knee, but I do think it helps us. You may feel the parallel here or the similarity with Trikonasana B, It helps us to steer that front hip back more. It keeps the pelvis more aligned. Even though we're dramatically asymmetrical in this pose, we're still having that sense of symmetry and equal work in both hips. Now let yourself lean onto that right sit bone and bend the right knee, and we'll just come into easy pigeon now, rolling onto the top of the knee and then pointing the toes if it feels okay. We'll take the hands to prayer position, elbows shoulder distance apart, and keep the chest and the head up. Just focus on the hips gently moving down through space. And again, much with our downward dog earlier, it doesn't have to be rigid or static. We can mobilize in it, just swaying from side to side, finding the sweet spots, areas of much needed stretch. If you can, see if you can touch the left hip off the right heel, or if you're a bit more mobile, you've got the outside of the left waist on that right heel. Breathing there, again, always stretching from a place of strength. So push down into Mother Earth, get that support back in return, like a dialogue with the earth and gravity. And taking the hands to the floor, tuck the left toes under again, lift the left knee, and then lift the right foot and step it to the outside of the right hand. So we're coming into that kind of knapsack position again, taking that right elbow underneath to point out to the side, and then let your right leg come out in front of you if you can. And if that feels like it's too much, just work as best you can. If you feel like, yeah, I'm there, then try to lift the left leg as well. 5 breaths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And then we can come down onto the knee and then back into Hanamanasana. But this time we're going to lean slightly to the left and come onto the forearms. Dorsiflex the right foot if you wish for a deeper hamstring stretch. If that feels no way, then just have the foot relaxed. And so from there, pressing into the hands again, and we'll just step back into downward facing dog. Now, having done all of that on one side, just notice how your hips are, notice how the shoulders are. Keep your breathing steady there. So we're going to take a big lift with the right leg, inhale, and then step the right foot forwards, exhale, and walk ourselves around towards the left leg. Let the right knee come down, keep the right toes tucked under, and then coming into Hanamanasana on the left side. Again, taking the hands to the floor and keeping them there so that you've got that support, and swaying from side to side, finding where you need to be to keep energy flowing in this pose. And if it feels like it's too much, just simply pull back from the intensity. Technically speaking, this lunge is splits practice. So your body will tell you where you need to be for this practice. It doesn't always have to be the full expression of the pose. I know you guys understand that, but it's helpful to bear that in mind. And then let yourself sit over onto the left sit bone. And then from there, you're bending the left knee just into easy pigeon, returning the hips into equilibrium again, and then pointing the right toes. And palms together, elbows shoulder distance apart, and just let yourself sway back and forth, whatever feels good. And then straightening your elbows, pressing into the hands, tucking right toes under, lifting the right knee. And then we step that left foot to the outside of the left hand. And we come into our little knapsack thing again. So placing that left leg onto the upper left arm. And if it's possible, then extend that left leg out in front of you. And maybe lift the right leg too. 5 breaths. Coming back down into our Hanamanasana one more time, but this time taking the arms slightly to the right. Palms can come together again. Dorsiflex that left foot if you wish to get that increased hamstring intensity there. The right toes, actually, it can be yogi's choice. It can be tucked under or pointed. And try to steer that left hip back, just like we did in Parivrita Trikonasana, revolving triangle. And then pressing into the hands as you straighten the elbows and stepping back into Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. And now feeling the hips, feeling both legs, having done those asanas on both sides, feeling the balance now.